Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Connect and Collaborate White Sands Self-Care Group, where we provide resources, education, and connections to help support you on your self-care journey. And today's topic is one we haven't discussed yet on here, but I think it's important. A lot of people, when they hear self-care, they think, frou-frou bubble baths, but there's a whole lot more realms to self-care than that. One of them being financial self-care. And if you're not very strong in that area or educated in that area, I definitely think that it's important that you have someone that you can trust, that is transparent and honest. I have known Charlie for a couple of years now, and so I am anxious for you to meet Charlie. I will tell you, Charlie Stivers, he's been in business owner since 2001. His roots actually come from working on the family farm, and he grew values of personal responsibility and self-reliance. Inspired by his economics professor, his passion for technology can be tracked back to his pre-professional days when he felt like Alex P. Keaton carrying around the newspaper business section full of tech stories and innovations in the late 1990s. And I love that. That was actually one of my favorite shows. I thought it was funny. But he bought his first .com stocks in 1998, which led him to getting professionally licensed in 2001 and beginning a professional career. Seeing the struggles of retirees preparing for their retirement, he authored the book Social Security Success Guide, and in 2016, helping them optimize retirement income for their golden years as a speaker and advisor. And as 2020 and the pandemic lockdowns brought us into extended time at home, he chose to focus on cryptocurrencies. And I know for some people that's like a really bad word, but it's one of those things that's coming whether you like it or not. And if it comes coming, I think it's better to be educated about it myself personally. But he now works full-time on speaking fluent Bitcoin and crypto, and has developed a passion for helping others discover and learn their potential of blockchain technologies through his consulting company, Cryptocurrency for the People. He believes in the future of decentralization and digital assets that will be sustainable when built on sound technology by responsible leaders. And I also know that also leads to, which I'm sure he will mention, his Goose magazine that he just launched January last month here. And that's to help onboard new users safely and to be a trusted source of education for all levels. His vision is to build Goose into a community-powered publication. He's done a lot, but like I said, especially when you're talking about crypto, and we know everybody gets a little funny about money, a lot of scams, a lot of that stuff out there. So without any further ado, like I said, to me, it's important that you have someone that I think you can trust, that is transparent, and that can properly educate you. So with that, I want to hand it over to Charlie, and I want to say thank you for joining me, because I think this is a topic that some people need to know a lot more about.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I'm happy to be here. Been just evangelizing more and more about Bitcoin and crypto, and the key is doing it the right way, which I've taught you and many other clients. There is a difference. The problem that we're seeing in the whole crypto industry right now is people doing it the wrong way, because they're partnering with the companies that have the biggest marketing budgets, and they're sucking people in on these exchanges like FTX. And little do the consumers or investors know that they don't own that crypto, they just own the rights to the crypto. So if there's shady dealings going on, or there's a bankruptcy, your crypto, your assets are tied up now in a bankruptcy, or they're spent by those shady characters. Whereas, as you know, Laura, we teach people how to take custody of their own coins and tokens and put them on their own wallet that you are in control of, and you have personal responsibility of too, because there's no customer service with those wallets. That's the catch in doing it the right way. You have to learn proper safety, then confidence, and then profitability will come. So that's the basics of how we start. And then the other basic I just want to tell people is to keep this simple. Think of this all as an evolution of the internet. You were kind of saying that at the beginning, we are in a digital world. So Bitcoin and some of these other cryptos will be the currency of the internet going forward. Primarily, I do think it's going to be Bitcoin. So if you want to keep it even more simple, you'd probably be fine focusing on Bitcoin.
Yeah, and it's a topic that has so much to learn. I still feel like I'm learning a foreign language with it, but that's why I really appreciate having you and your cryptocurrency for the people, to bounce questions off or ask before I make the wrong move. Because like I said, it leaves a lot of questions. And if anyone's gone to file their taxes, guess what? This year, if you've dabbled in cryptocurrency, they want to know about it. So it's definitely coming up, whether you like it or not. I know sometimes people have gotten the impression from the media that, oh, this is just a big scam, when it's kind of like a stock market, but it's different. Like you said, it's digital currency. And it's not that it's a scam, it exists, but you have to be knowledgeable about it. And you have to have the right resources and people to learn so that you don't feel like it's a big scam or get taken for a ride, because it is a very legit, currency now, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other problems that I see out there's a lot of multi-level marketing companies that are jumping on the crypto bandwagon, and they don't last long. They use all the hype words like it's decentralized, or we have our own coin or token, and those companies are run by leadership who can go to jail or have a cease and desist, or whatever fine, and they can shut everything down and operations stop. So those are not decentralized. And there's this thing called the blockchain trilemma, which Bitcoin solves, which is speed, scalability, safety, and decentralization. So those three things are really how you kind of determine or create your own criteria for an opportunity, if you want to call it that.
Right. And you've studied this quite a bit, Charlie. Where do you see crypto going, and how it'll be more or less incorporated in an everyday kind of thing?
So yeah, good question. So going back to what I said and keeping it simple, it's an evolution of the internet. So we're starting to see the headlines that so-and-so big brand is created a patent. So Walmart's in the middle of it. All these professional sports are in the middle of it. Picking up patents here and there. Ticket sales to events are turning into NFTs. So now there's houses being sold as NFTs. I can't remember what state it was, but they're starting with chain of title for vehicles. And what else is a chain of title? Real estate. So we're going to have a little disruption in some of these other markets that I'm telling people pay attention to, because with blockchain technology, even with AI and machine learning, there's going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be eliminated because of how technology is advancing. The other thing that's going to make it easier for all of us to do commerce together, and that we can relate to as regular consumers, is how we pay people. So Bitcoin has a application layer, I need to have another drink of water, for payments called the Lightning Network. And in my talks, what I've been doing, I have this, it's in my magazine, you may have seen it, about how I went into an entrepreneur fair with 7th and 8th graders. And our local Rocky Mountain Bitcoin group did a fundraise for them, about $500 in Bitcoin. And then me and 2 other guys went into the entrepreneur fair, and we showed all the kids, put this Moon application, MUUN, on their phone, and we gave them all $5 in Bitcoin, and they could go shopping. But within that app is the layer called Lightning Network, and you create invoice, and it generates a QR code, and literally scan within a flash, they get paid. And they're just, their mind was blown. They're like, oh, I got $5 in Bitcoin now. And these micro transactions and micro processes are quicker because of the decentralization, and they're on their own like payment rails. And the other cool point about that transaction, on a $5 transaction in Bitcoin, how much do you think it cost, Laura?
Yeah, I've dabbled with it, but I'm still not good with that, but I'm assuming it's 0.0 something or other. It's a small
0.0000, which they call Satoshis or sats, which are smaller denominations of Bitcoin because they're named after Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. But on a $5 transaction, if you were to do that at Starbucks, what do you think the vendor pays in transaction fees?
Oh, very minimal. I would think it would have to be very minimal compared to what we pay for debit card and credit card fees.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. If
Yeah.
you were at today in normal payment channels, paying with a Visa debit card at Starbucks on a $5 charge, what do you think maybe the charge is?
Well, most of them carry like a 2.3% off of whatever you're spending charge, or 3.2, whatever it is for Visa cards, which why I know here in Missouri, a lot of them don't want to take cards or stuff. They want check or cash because they don't want to pay the fee. They don't want you to have to pay the fee. So, in Missouri here, a lot of them still prefer to deal with just cash and checks and not even, do the debit and credit cards.
Yeah. So specifically, like you're saying, it's 2 to 3%. And then there's usually a flat rate on top of that, depending on their volume, anywhere from 50 cents to $1.25, depending how much volume they do. But on that $5 Lightning Network transaction is literally 3 cents. And it was that fast. It settles immediately. So that's where, again, going back to your question, where is this all headed as consumers and us doing commerce together as we go about our day, and how disruptive this is going to be. So that's, part of when I evangelize, I'm like, even when I go out to eat at restaurants, I say, hey, do you want me to tip you in Bitcoin? And maybe 1 out of 10 are like, okay. So literally I say, go to this app, Moon Wallet, and they put it on there and give them whatever, 10, 15, $20 tip in Bitcoin. They're like, nice. So this is just part of, where this is all going. And imagine, how many more people are out there like me, and it'll continue to grow virally eventually.
Right. And I know we discussed it a little bit at the last business conference, but on the flip side of that, if you're a business owner and you're trying to make your stuff or your programs or your books or whatever you've done more accessible, you are going to have clients that want to pay in crypto. So, I know it was suggested that basically maybe you should take a look at, accepting crypto or doing crypto, because you don't want to lose out on the people that feel better doing that. I mean, you're always going to have that divide, because you still have your older generation that wants nothing to do with computers. So obviously they're not going to be the crypto and all this, but you have all the younger generation that's pretty much nothing but technology and computers. So,
Exactly. Just like, where are those 7th and 8th graders going to be 10 years from now? And how are they going to do business? Which means, how are we going to do business 5 to 10 years from now? So, and that's another reason why I do talk to other business owners like, hey, make it easy to do business. Don't take the chance of losing business. Show that you're business savvy, and, just showing that, hey, I accept Bitcoin may bring up a conversation. And yes, you may get 10% of people that pay you in Bitcoin, and that's great. Forget about that one. If you don't need it to run operations, just tuck that one away, or cash out some of it. So it's liquid. Bitcoin is very liquid. If you talk to someone who will gladly accept Bitcoin, I'm sure they will generate an invoice for you in Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around. I mean, when I first was setting that stuff up with a 16-word password and, can't have it here or there. It has to be in a certain order. It takes a lot more to get into those, even for yourself, so they're not as easy to break into. And of course, through your teachings, we help do some other things like we specifically bought a Chromebook that's used nothing but crypto. That's the only thing that goes on it. I don't put it on, the other computers and stuff. Like you said, being safe, having the securities and stuff put in place. But
yeah, and that's just a good best practices method that I teach, because a lot of us do have a laptop or a PC that we surf the internet and click on pretty much whatever we want to. And if you remember from back in the old days in the 90s, we had to be careful what we clicked on, right? Same thing applies today, because now if you have a wallet embedded on your extension in your browser, that could be subject to security risk. So just I'm glad you are practicing what I preach and have a separate device that's secure. And the other catch that I say is, if you do have it on a laptop that you use in public, there's no more public Wi-Fi, no Starbucks, no airport Wi-Fi on that device.
Oh, even when I'm home, I won't connect it to my home internet either. It's always on a mobile hotspot from my phone.
Yeah.
It's the only way I connect it, but
that works. Yeah.
Might be a little over, but I figure better safe than sorry, especially when I'm still trying to learn and wrap my head around it all too.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating. It's just kind of neat the way the different things go, but it's a whole different realm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
we've talked about primarily Bitcoin, and part of the intro that you talked about is sound technology, not audio. Sound meaning Bitcoin is sound currency, as a replacement for our centralized banking system that we have, centralized governments that we have. And that was the whole reason Satoshi Nakamoto started Bitcoin, was because of the 2008 banking crisis. He wanted a peer-to-peer cashless system where we could continue to do business with each other without oversight, without the controls, not to commit crimes. Yes, of course, people take advantage of it that way. But
you have that no matter what you do or where you go. So that's always going to pop up somewhere. But,
and little these criminals realize is blockchain, the whole purpose of blockchain is it's a public ledger of debits and credits. Yes, there is an element of privacy, but you're not 100% anonymous. You're pseudo-anonymous. And, the government, whatever law enforcement, IRS, can track you down eventually if you're doing criminal activities or trying to launder money or evade taxes. So it's not 100%. So it has a specific purpose, and it's not for crime.
Nothing should be, but guess what?
Right. Yes.
It's the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you had some slides and stuff. I know that you wanted to share with people. And so if you want to share that with us, I think the more information people have, about crypto and finances and get to know you. Like I said, I would not be their person, to do this, but I'd love for you to share with people what you've got.
Yeah, thank you. So cryptocurrency for the people, it truly is for the people. And then I'd talk about the basics. I'll jump to some of these. This one's kind of cool. Like, Bitcoin started in 2009, and it's really interesting to see the progression. So if this isn't totally clear, I apologize, but this was a screenshot from crypto Twitter. There's a reason why Elon Musk is going after Twitter, and the whole crypto universe is on Twitter. And part of what I also teach is, where all these tech companies are investing in communities and huge networks. And one of my favorite books I read is called Life After Google by George Gilder. And he talks about how the companies of the future that win will own the networks. So that's kind of where this is all going, and crypto is right in the middle of it. So 2010, no one's using it. And then 12, only the nerds are using it. Then, of course, 13 drug dealers, money launderers are using it. Then the gamblers. I've talked to some gamblers who are professional gamblers, and they remember when they could take their winnings in Bitcoin back in the day. And I never talked to anyone that actually did. So they're kicking themselves. And then 2019, only a small percentage of the population uses it. Yes, it's growing. Now there's smaller companies using it. And now the progression is small countries are using it. So we have El Salvador is one of the leaders in that. And then I think it's called like Central Africa or something like that. But you'll start seeing that more and more with the progression. So we say, you know, don't let any of these regrets stop you, because this is progressing just like the internet did. Mm-hmm. You know, and I say, what's the narrative going forward? And this one's kind of fun. Oops, let me go back. All right, so this is why I say it's a progression of the internet. We all remember this back in what, mid to late 90s?
Yeah. And
do you remember the days when they had even commercials on there that said keyword search America online? And, you know, look at where we are now.
Oh, yeah. I remember the Yahoo and calling it America offline. As a matter of fact, my Dakota saw it the other day on TV. He goes, Yahoo's still around? I'm like, yeah, I got friends that still have Yahoo Mail. They're still around.
Oh, it's so funny. And so here's the other lesson that we need to learn is, okay, Americans, we are in our own bubble. Let's face it, in a global world, we have all the comforts that many other countries do not. So this slide is kind of interesting because where are we seeing the biggest growth? In these third world countries. They have unstable governments, they have unstable currencies, they have fluctuating currencies, and it's hard for them to do business together. So they're adopting crypto. And you know this now, but maybe some of the watchers are don't, but that's not a typo. It is called hodling in crypto. It's not holding. It goes back to a fun typo email that went around, and he did typo hold into hodl, and it's just stuck. I mean, so the crypto community is really fun, and yeah, they have their own acronyms too. But this is the more recent global crypto adoption, and look who's, you know, in the top 10. You got Vietnam number 1, and then who's number 3? Ukraine, exactly. And then who's number 9?
Yep, Russia.
So we know the turmoil that's going on there, and it's hard for them to do business. I mean, especially in Russia, the people are amazing, right? But they have a shitty government, and they still want to do business with each other. So, you know, they are adopting crypto more and more. And then rounding out the top 10, more third world countries, or the top 20, I should say. Yeah. Wow. So the network growth, there is a law about this called Metcalfe's Law. I'm not going to go into it, but basically talks about what I mentioned in George Gilder's book. The companies of the future will control or have ownership of the network. And in a decentralized network, that's where we have the opportunity to own bits and pieces of the network, either through the coins and tokens, or like I've been teaching you and some of my clients, Laura, is about now you can own nodes on the network and own a piece of it and get rewards for helping decentralize the network and help transmissions and transactions go through in a decentralized way that it can't be shut down. So, and then this is the other couple points I want to make. Yes, we're getting the big brands on board. You have Travis Scott, you know, through Fortnite had 45 million views. And Fortnite's jumping into this. You have all the main sports teams jumping into it. Roblox, another game company. And these big brands now are figuring out that digital branding assets can create better community, loyal customers, engaged customers. So they see NFTs becoming a tool. And of course, top 5 corporation in the world, Walmart, is already picking up patents. And do you think the government's getting involved? If you look at the history of the internet, who was the first one to use ARPANET, as the internet was called back in the 60s and 70s? the Department of Defense and the Air Force. So one of my favorite companies is called Constellation, and they have a contract with the Department of Defense to do secure data transmission over the blockchain. And a step further than that, we're all familiar with HTTPS, which is our secured protocol on the internet. But now they've developed what they call HGTP, which is Hypergraph Transfer Protocol, which just means it's secure data transmission over the blockchain. So that's where this is all kind of heading with the government too. And then this is a really cool example of how music and any kind of creator, but musicians are building around their community. So my son went to the weekend concert this last summer, and after the concert, my son said he got a text of an NFT to prove that he was there. So instead of a t-shirt, now you get an NFT, and now you can actually use that NFT and buy merch at a discount because you have the NFT, or you get a secret airdrop of a new release, or a special backstage VIP experience contest. So again, they see these as digital branding assets to build their community.
Last year, because I'm a big fan of Shark Week, except for I record them and stuff, and it was all the recent ones. All of a sudden there was something about do this now, and you had an NFT or something about sharks. I'm like, well, okay, I'm already behind because I recorded it and I just watch it when I have time. But I didn't even understand. I knew it had something to do with crypto, but I wasn't quite sure how all that worked. But even Shark Week was getting involved with NFTs.
I remember that. And it's funny that you say Shark Week, because Shark Tank, Mark Cuban is big time into this. And Mr. Wonderful, unfortunately, got tied into FTX, and he's eaten a lot of words, and he admits he lost a ton of money. But who knows if that was given to him for being an ambassador.
Right.
But he's not giving up on it, because it's a hard lesson that a lot of people had to experience. I can proudly say that none of my clients were exposed to FTX, Luna, Celsius, because those are all centralized. Luna was technically decentralized, but that was just a shady way that he did business. He basically backed up all of his assets in Bitcoin, and when it just kept going down and down and down, there went the security that was backing all of the assets. So that was the primary thing. But again, another tool, with NFTs and how they're marketing real estate. And you can buy that on OpenSea and then close through normal legal channels. But, I talk about, with realtors, keep your eye on this, because there's already a ton of realtors out there and not enough inventory to be, bought and sold. And just like the 80-20 rule, 20% of the realtors make 80% of the revenue. So I think we're going to see, a lot of challenges come up in some of these different sectors that NFTs can really make things easier and more efficient. So the other thing, is, yes, in the good old days when people got in super early, people were buying Lamborghinis because they made 100x on their Bitcoin or even Dogecoin.
Right.
But you've already seen how volatile it is, and I take some profits along the way. Take out your seed money, so you're now gambling with house money, so to speak. So there's a lot of strategy in here, but I just want to manage people's expectations that if you're in here doing it the right way, being safe, you'll build confidence, and the profitability will come with good projects. And that's what we're looking for. There will be the next Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft that we can find within blockchain technology. But you got to be able to deal with the ups and downs, because
and I think it's like with any investments, you have stuff that's like slower building, but safer, and all the way up to the ones for people that really like to take risks and, try to stay on top of it. It's more high risk, but you could get more of a profit. I mean, you kind of have the whole range, just like any investment. It just depends on what your risk tolerance is.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's this one, Shelly from our group took this picture, and literally on my phone here was a snapshot of my portfolio. And I think it was literally at the top of the market back in the fall on a lot of these. And ever since then, it's been down. But hey, we got passive income that's continuing to grow our bags. So when the next bull market comes back, it should be even greater. I just like to make that point. And actually, let me see if this plays. This would be amazing if this shows up. Can you see my screen?
I can.
With the video?
It's a video is not playing yet, but I can see it.
Yeah, let me share this window because this is actually a really cool example. All right, let's see if this plays. Let's see how good I am. In there, folks. Expand this too.
I can see it, but I'm not hearing any sound.
Oh.
I don't know if you can hear sound on your end. I'm not hearing sound on this end.
Yeah.
Might have to look at how to fix that.
Yeah, dang it, I'm bummed.
But it looks like essentially
Yeah,
he's paying for whatever he's doing. He's just using his crypto to pay for it.
Yeah, totally. So he that was in El Salvador and literally paid for his groceries on the Lightning Network in a matter of seconds. So it's just a cool way to see how it's making it easier for people to do business and buy their goods or order online, and it shows up on your doorstep just like we all expect it to.
Right.
So, part of my presentations when I'm live, I say, who wants some Bitcoin? And I say, all right, first to download the Moon wallet. So that's what the logo looks like, and gives you both Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain as well as the Lightning Network. And literally it's within a flash. So to kind of close up what we're saying and going back to that fun slide with, you said there'd be Lambos, there's still that potential because we're still so early. The whole crypto market capitalization is only $1 trillion as compared to global equities, you could say is about $100 trillion market. Global real estate is about a $300 trillion market. And then just daily volume of foreign exchange currencies is 6 trillion a day. So those are just three sectors in this whole huge pot of global money that we're dealing with that will start migrating over to crypto. And eventually they're saying by 2030, crypto market should be about a $10 trillion market cap. So that's a 10x from today in 7 years. So, if you put in 100 grand, would you be okay with 700 grand? In 7 years. So my whole theory is, based on where the markets are today, the stock market, I believe, will eventually double, right? Just like it always does. But my theory is Bitcoin will quadruple before the market doubles. So, again, Bitcoin's, I think, what, 24,000 today. It'll be a $100,000 Bitcoin, I think, I would say within the next 5 years easily.
Right.
And there's a good chance that it will one day be $1 million Bitcoin because of this great migration that's coming.
And I know you have to have, some funds if you want to get started with this and invest in it, but I don't believe you have to have a whole lot. It depends on where you want to start, but I think some people don't get started because they just think you have to have a lot of money to put in it in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, part of what, we're in an Achieve network together, all small business owners learning how to grow our businesses, create positive cash flow. So all of those things, can add into hopefully having discretionary income, so we can contribute to our Roth IRAs, to our 401ks, not necessarily for business owners, but, Roth IRAs, crypto, stocks, start building and, accumulating assets, and even better income producing assets like Robert Kiyosaki talks about. You've shared that you're building, a real estate portfolio, as we all should. But there's barriers to that. And just like you said, you can get started with as little as $100, on Coinbase. You can set it to do once a week, $100, buy Bitcoin. There's some centralized exchanges that will buy daily. The key is, what do? We transfer those to our wallets. After you build up a certain amount, take custody of that. Don't leave it on exchanges.
Yep. And that's where Charlie comes in. Because if you're not sure, ask Charlie.
Yeah. And I mean, as you can find all that out on the internet. And there's plenty of videos out there, but you just have to make sure you do it the right way. And in my case,
and find the right ones, because almost anybody can throw a video up or throw info and get you down the wrong road. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have you're looking at the right resources. Everybody, I think, should do their, due diligence and, check things out. But yeah, you definitely want to find the right ones.
Absolutely. The right wallets and the right coins and tokens.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
so any other questions that you have for me?
No, I was just saying, we'll put, we had a lot of Charlie's contact information in the original post, but I'll make sure we put it in the comments as well. So if you have any questions, want to pick Charlie's brain even further, reach out. Like I said, I've known him for a couple of years and I work with him, and I've been in those bad situations before with some unscrupulous people, and you're definitely someone that I trust and respect, and that I know is very transparent and honest, which I appreciate, especially when it comes to this, because it's not just about you, it's not about you getting a bottom dollar. It's how you can help other people grow, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and one of my favorite ways to just help people grow, I have a HBO special, I call it Help a Brother Out, and subscribe for free to Goose Magazine, and it's goosemag.com. And you can see our magazines for free and learn about who Satoshi Nakamoto is, learn about Constellation Network and how they're working with the DoD, and other best practices. Like, you can now even have Bitcoin in an IRA. And going back to my point where I think it's going to quadruple before the market doubles, it might be a good idea just to have some Bitcoin in an IRA, even though you don't have custody of it. Thank you for our IRA laws. You can't take custody to have an IRA, but it is what it is. At least you can get some exposure there and diversify.
Yeah, definitely lots of information. And I do look forward to reading your Goose digital magazine. I got the personal copy because I wanted it signed. I've only been home for a week and I haven't had a chance to get to it yet, but it is on the top of my list. So, Charlie, I want to thank you for joining me today. Like I said, everybody, if you have any kind of financial questions, we will have all of Charlie's information in the comments below. Please reach out and have a chat with him, because he is definitely more educated in the financial world than I am, but finances is definitely a most important part, one of your important parts of your self-care. Because if you're always worried and stressed out about finances or where this is going to go, your health goes too. So it's definitely an important part. And I will tell you, next week, we're going to have a special day and time. It'll be Wednesday at noon Central, where I have Suzanne Ecker and Kathy Jin have two guests next week. So keep an eye out for that post. And if there's a certain topic or anything that you guys would like to hear or know about, or connect with another professional, please drop me a message, put a chat in there. Start conversations in the group, because that's what this group is designed for. This group is public and anyone can join. It's to help people find resources, that education, or the connections that they need to improve their self-care journey. Because self-care isn't selfish, it is essential for a healthier you. I am Laura Cross, and thank you very much for joining me today, Charlie. And I wish you all a very happy and healthy day. Thank you.